Okay, okay. Hold your horses. Yeah, fine. Go ahead.
The last time I spoke, I described how the Phi had taken me into their spacecraft and then erased all my memories of what had happened and what I'd seen within the ship. The experience for me was traumatic. My mental faculties were depleted. I questioned my own mental stability.
Really? I didn't notice any difference.
Fuck you, Alice. Let me get straight to the facts. 2 days ago, while I sat at my table eating my breakfast, I heard a knocking at my door. The distinctive pattern of that knock was unmistakable. I knew who it was. My opinion of the Phi had been altered by my last experience with them. In my mind, their motives had become sinister. They felt justified in furthering their own selfish goals with no regard to the damages incurred. Immediately, I felt the bile of my own rage rising within me. This felt good. It was familiar. I ignored the knocking and continued eating. I felt no inclination at all to answer the door and remained in my chair. For the next hour, they continued knocking at regular intervals. The same knock, one exactly like the one before it. Finally, I walked to my bedroom, threw myself onto my bed, and wrapped my pillow over my head. The knocking, instead of being muffled, sounded more intense. I realized that the noise came not only from the other side of my front door, but also from within my head. I knew it would never stop. I relented. And when I jerked the front door open to glare at my 3 gray-skinned visitors, I found them standing there as they always did, as placid as always. And I turned and walked away. They followed me inside. When they had seated themselves on my couch, I turned to them and began shouting. I didn't care that they couldn't hear me. They had mistreated me. I emptied my rage at them. I shouted until I was hoarse and couldn't utter another sound and slumped back completely exhausted in my chair.
What did they do?
Do? They didn't do anything. They all just sat there staring at me like they always did, like nothing had ever happened. Then, slowly, Phi thoughts began seeping into my consciousness. They came from Phi B. It told me that removing my memory of my time inside their ship was done at my best interest. And they weren't trying to hide anything. They just believed it best to blank my mind of the procedure they'd performed on me.
What? Why?
In essence, the Phi told me it wasn't anything I'd want to remember. This didn't ease my feelings of resentment. It should have been up to me what memories I wanted to retain or not. But then it came to me suddenly. They were actually responding to my questions. This had never happened before. All of our previous communications had always been one way. Any efforts I had made to get the Phi to comprehend my simplest thoughts were in vain. Now they'd actually responded to me. They were aware of my thoughts and able to respond to them. Shit! We could talk to each other. There was so much I wanted to ask. I began peppering them with questions, one after another, without waiting for a response. Then I stopped. I noticed the Phi doing something they'd never seen them do before. All 3 Phi, all 3 of them in perfect unison, began shaking their heads back and forth. Okay, I got it. I shut up and did my best to clear my mind to become receptive to the Phi's thoughts.
What did they say?
I was just going to tell you that.
Okay, no reason to get snippy.
The Phi told me... The Phi told me that they had performed a procedure on me that made it possible to align my thought processes in a way that they would be able to understand me.
Wow. What else did they tell you?
Nothing yet. They told me that receiving communications from me was taxing for them and would take some time to overcome the discomfort of it. They would return next week.
That was it then?
Yeah, that was it. Yet funny, after they left, I realized that I felt my own self again. Whole. It was like they'd carried a piece of me in their minds and just handed it back.